Youngeen Ace crew, they steady arguing online with Briccbaby after Briccbaby came out and said that he banned ATK from coming to LA and everything like that. And Briccbaby's talking about how the dudes in Jacksonville, they don't got no OGs, so they don't have nobody telling them not to crash out and not to do this and do that and tell on themselves by actually going live and saying that they got paid 10K to take out Fulio, man. And so this is just what Briccbaby was trying to tell him, but Youngeen Ace and them, they clapped back and responded to him and said that he can't pull up to Florida. Briccbaby said he already been to Florida and he only goes to Florida with a chopstick, but he says dudes from LA don't really gotta go to Florida, but he knows for a fact that them Jacksonville, Florida dudes, they have to go to places like LA. They got to go to all these other places like Atlanta and everything like that. And they going to have to check in and everything. So this is why he said they have to watch how they move and better. And they need to watch their mouth and everything because they got to go around to these other bigger cities. Jacksonville is still a big city in Florida and everything like that. But ATK and them don't have enough people to try to go at war with Briccbaby. And so this is why the whole argument and everything ends right here, because at the end of the day, they know that they already being watched. They can't go and try to get into a feud with Briccbaby. Briccbaby already knows that he has the whole LA behind him, and so he's not even going to try to start nothing up. He was already just commenting on the ongoing situation with Fulio and what's been happening in the news and the updates recently. So for them, the ATK dudes, Youngeen Ace's friends and homeboys, they were super mad and everything that Briccbaby name dropped and mentioned their name, because they already know that they basically got caught for this. The whole internet pretty much figured it out. It's undefeated. Once they seen that footage, they knew that that guy's head under the mask was the same shape. They already identified the mass shooters and hitters and everything like that, because the height that they wear, they even matched the shoes that they had. The dude had on Jordans. And the other one had on Fendi runners and Givenchy runners and everything like that. So at the end of the day, they were able to look in the footage, zoom it in, and see that they had the designer trainer shoes on. And that these come back to the same three dudes who's wearing the same shoes in Youngeen Ace music video. This is how they were able to figure out the first suspect. That's why he took the deal and he came out and told on his whole group. And he pretty much put Youngeen Ace's name right there in the thing, man. And this is mainly because of the fact that since he's taking a deal and he's getting caught and he's pretty much telling to get a lesser sentence, this is what he has to do to fulfill his plea agreement. A lot of these dudes, man, they pretty much end up telling the whole entire plan, what happened, who sent the money and all that. They end up telling that to the feds because they can't take the pressure when they're getting interrogated. And they in the interrogation room, and the investigators, the detectives got that flashlight on them, that little lamp. They offered him a bag of chips. They gave him sodas and iced tea, and that's what he told for. And like, you know, anytime that they say that pretty much when somebody gets locked up for something and it's part of like multiple people who did the crime and stuff, when one guy gets caught, they try to offer them food, they try to offer them drinks and these special little privileges while they're locked up, so that they could try to pretty much say something that incriminates the other guys, because they're trying to solve the case and they got one of the suspects right there. Whatever they could do to try to make him think that he's getting ahead, like, hey, people be in there and they could never eat good again. They have to make and cut up pickles and beef jerky sticks and all that stuff. But they offered the dude a whole Popeyes chicken biscuit and combo for him to tell on the other guys that was in the Fulio footage. So once they seen him coming out of the room with a toothpick and a napkin wiping his face off, and they let the cuffs off of him, and he walked out the front door of the precinct. He never got charged because he told on all the other dudes. So at the end of the day, the streets is over with, man. Everybody's gonna tell on each other anyways. Like, a lot of these dudes is the street dudes, they crash out. It's not their idea to go and do the hit. Maybe they trying to get the money that's put on somebody's head. Maybe they just doing it for their hood or whatever the reason is. But at the end of the day, whenever they get caught, they end up telling on somebody, or they end up getting 100 years. You never gonna you can't tell on somebody and then still get the 100 years. They still would do that though. But they always tell them, okay, if you could if you could point out this person and what they did in the role they played, they'll take off. Instead of giving them a 10-year sentence, they'll get just probation and ankle monitor. And so this is what a lot of these dudes are going for. They're trying to get out on the ankle monitor and everything like that. And when they do that, they could be outside, they could be on live again, they could go out, they could be just, you know, doing what they normally do. They could stand outside on the porch on the hood, like exactly what they was doing before. And so the other guys, they pretty much have to be on the run, especially the dudes that haven't got caught yet. Now they can't even come outside because everybody's looking for them. Plus, the whole Jacksonville already knows who they are. So it's just a matter of time until they get the witnesses and they subpoena all the footage from the businesses nearby. They're going to be able to figure out where the dudes came from, because if they take the camera footage and they play it in reverse, they're going to be able to see before the whole incident. They're going to see where the guys came from, what kind of car they were in. Then they follow that camera down the block a little bit, and it might catch them coming out of a gas station. It might catch them coming out of another Airbnb, and maybe they didn't have the masks on. Maybe they get caught on a Ring doorbell camera from one of the neighbors or one of the highway cameras that's on the roads. So they pretty much playing everything backwards and trying to figure out if they could catch the dudes on camera when they didn't have the mask on, or when it was earlier that day when they got into town, so that they could see how all this happened and played out. Because they're pretty much trying to get to the bottom of this, and they're trying to set an example. Tampa PD is still in charge of the investigation because everything happened in Tampa. So they all went to Jacksonville. The feds have taken over this now. Because if you haven't realized that, they're opening up a RICO case on ATK and KTA, because they already know that both sides are trying to retaliate against each other. So they might as well just take both of them out. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of the whole entire beef completely and make it to where ATK and KTA can't beef with each other, because everybody from both sides got locked up. That's what's gonna happen, man. So and when push comes to shove and all that, it's never worth it, man. All this stuff in the streets playing around is really either gonna get you put 6 feet under or have you put for 6 years, and that's just at the minimum, man. And a lot of people, it goes too far with where they hit up brothers, sisters, family members, and all this kind of stuff because of them trying to get back for one of their guys falling. This is why everybody from Youngeen Ace's side has been dropping recently, because they already know that the guys from that knew, like, that Fulio got hit up by these certain people. They already knew them, and they already knew where to go, and they spun the block. And when they spin the block, they already knew where they stayed at and all this kind of stuff. So these guys all know each other. Like, these Fulio, KTA, ATK, all these dudes went to school with each other in Jacksonville when they were way younger. It all started, the beef all started from them getting into fights, walking to the bus stop, and little stuff over here, little petty things over here, and this person hanging out with this person after school, but then they ended up walking home through one dude's neighborhood and they got jumped by the other guys. And so this is when the whole beef became created, because they couldn't, like, they had a childhood growing up where they were amongst each other, but as they all started getting into, like, middle school, high school, at range, they start growing up and everything like that and turning into teenagers. This is when they started trying to see, like, who's tougher than the other guy. They're trying to prove their street cred. They're trying to earn their stripes out there. And everything that they see from the rap videos, man, they pretty much heavily influenced by the rap music, because they always trying to glorify the street life. They're always trying to make it seem like it's cool to catch bodies, do drills, and put money on people's heads and all this kind of stuff. Like, that's something to be proud of. It really isn't. If you look at it, people got to understand that while they doing that, everybody else has been focusing on getting a generational wealth, staying in their lane and taking care of their families. And that's why all these people is getting houses and doing all this stuff and getting lots of money. But then the guys left that's in the streets still doing that stuff, they end up getting sentenced, they end up getting taken out, ran up on, set up, robbed, all that kind of stuff. And basically it's because when they, like, before it's too late, a lot of people gotta quit the streets, man. Especially if they're gonna just tell on the guys anyways. It's not even worth it, because now if these guys that's growing up now and they telling so much, basically it's like they're gonna get taken down by their own group anyways, because that's what happens when somebody from somebody's group tells on everybody. the group pretty much turns on them and takes them out for pretty much like spilling the beans and ratting everybody out. And this is why a lot of people don't like the people who are snitching and everything like that. And that's why one of the dude from ATK who went live with the mask on, he made a major mistake snitching and saying that he took Foolio out for 10K. Now that's gonna get a mark put on him from his own crew. So we're gonna see what happened with all the updates. Make sure y'all subscribe, stay tuned.